Building a marketing calendar for home service businesses, part 2, customer acquisition hacks to ace your season. How do we anticipate, capitalize, and extend every single year to make sure we're staying proactive on our marketing? All that and more inside. Let's do this. When you start building your marketing calendar, it's really important you understand the seasonality of your business. Every industry is different, but you will have some degree of seasonality. That's why the ACE acronym is so important. We want to anticipate, make sure that we can start the season 1, 2, 3 weeks earlier than it already would have. We want to capitalize, making sure we're running at peak efficiency, peak capacity when demand is at its highest. And then we want to extend the season. When you typically see that dip, how can we mitigate or even remove that dip completely to keep it as consistent as possible? One of the most difficult parts of owning a home service business is the seasonality. Sometimes you could use 10, 15 techs, and sometimes you can use 2. So how do you make sure that you can keep everything as consistent as possible? We do that through controlling and staying proactive in our marketing calendar planning. So let's talk about some growth hacks and things that we can do to take advantage of that. First, we mentioned this in the end of the last video, but where are we going to get this information from? You're either going to use your CRM or you're going to use a tool like a Revenue Buddy. RevenueBuddy.com is a great tool which can give you historical sales and even do a lot of this heavy lifting for you. So if you're CRM or you don't even use a CRM, then take advantage of this, RevenueBuddy.com, to put in some historical metrics, and that'll tell you exactly what you need to do. We want to start by documenting our past 1, 2, 3 years of sales to see if we can find some trends. Can we find a specific week, a specific month or time when we start to see a rise or a fall in sales? We want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, planning for infrastructure. Am I going to need to add more trucks, add more techs? Am I going to need to spend more or less money on marketing? It really just kind of defines what we see as demand. There's 2 ways you're going to be acquiring customers as a home service business. You're going to be capturing demand. People are looking for your service. They're out in the world seeking you out or your competitor out, or you're going to send your goodwill out to the world and you're going to make people interested in you. So you're going to create demand. So you're either capturing demand or you're creating demand. And it's important that we're going to make sure that we're capitalizing on each one of those during the season. Now, again, every industry is different, but the principle, the strategy will stay the same. So here's an example of what I've done just for a 4-year period of time of what a typical home service business could look like. Summer months, this is a more seasonal example. So we have a massive slowdown in the winter because of the deep freeze that typically happens. But this is just the first step. This is going to be defining what our season actually looks like. What we want to do, look at these opportunities in areas where we start to get to the peak and we start to get to the valley, and what we're going to be doing to make sure that we're anticipating and extending these seasons. So in this example, I've highlighted 4 areas that we can look at where demand is rising, where demand is subsiding. And we're going to take those months, those weeks, and make sure that we're doing something from a marketing perspective during those weeks. So another really simple breakdown, and let's take advantage of that. Remember, our marketing is going to anticipate our sales. So if we see a huge rise in sales during this, making this up, the second week in April, we might want to really start being aggressive with our marketing the last week in March, the first week in April, to make sure that we're anticipating that. If we start to see a slowdown in the summer in July or August, maybe late June, early July, we want to start pushing that one more time. Messaging matters, but it's when and where we're going to be spending our money to be capitalizing on these strategies. So what you'll find with marketing is the strategy never changes. For the most part, your strategy stays the same. I want to anticipate, capitalize, and extend my season. Year to year, as technology advances, as people's buying behavior changes, as new platforms emerge, your tactics will change. The way you're automating your business, the way you're following up, the message that you're using will change. The tactical part, or the details of how you're acquiring these messaging, will be important. Now, as far as how we're going to market, we're going to do this in 3 different phases. In the last video, we talked about NRR, new, repeat, referral. We want to make sure that we have a unique strategy defined for each one of these 3 verticals. So we'll start with new. Typically, right now, we're seeing the internet being the #1 lead generator for most home service businesses. If you're in a mid to major market in a well-known service, there's plenty of demand and people searching and seeking out your services online. It could be Google, it could be Bing, it could be Facebook, it could be TikTok or Instagram, but people are online looking for or looking at something to do with your services. So we want to make sure from a new perspective, we are tracking our cost per lead, we're tracking our cost per acquisition, the efficacy or the success that we're having from these new medias so that we can target them. Now, when are we going to target our new marketing? One thing that I love to say is you cannot spend your way out of a slump. So if demand is really low for your service, don't spend a ton of money trying to get people excited. Usually from a new marketing perspective, what we're doing is we're capturing demand. We're going to either A, collect people that are actively looking for us, or B, get people who are in the interest phase or even the desire phase to say, hey, you're ready to buy, here's why. And we're gonna do that from a new marketing perspective. The tactic, the strategy comes from what we're gonna do before the season and after the season. So this is where we really want to leverage and use our relationships with our existing customers, both B2B and B2C. So you know your season's about to take off. How do we get that season to start early? The #1 way to do that is with your existing database. Let's talk about repeats. Have you ever had a repeat customer call or somebody that's on your database that they called, you're booked out 6, 8, 10 weeks, and it just takes forever for you to be able to service them? How did that work out for you? We want to make sure that our customers know we care about them. We want to offer some sort of exclusivity to them and make sure that they have the first opportunity to choose what they want and when they want it. We're going to do that in 3 different media types: phone, email, postcard. So phone, you can do a voicemail bomb, you can do a text blast, you can pick up the phone and call. It's up to you to decide based on how big your database is, how you're going to be communicating. Pro tip, don't blindly just send voicemail bombs or text blasts to every customer. Segment, isolate those key customers. Those customers at the top 10 or 20% that you know would be a lot better suited to pick up the phone and call, and remove those from this automation. Let's talk about email. I love email communication. In fact, every home service business should be doing at least 1 email per month as a newsletter or a call to action, but it's really important that we send emails. The downside of emails is the open rates. Your open rates are gonna be between 15 and 30% depending on your industry and how often you're sending emails and your subject lines. So you're not gonna really get as many people with email as you potentially could with a text message, a voicemail bomb, or a phone call. And then the third one is a postcard. Now, the reason you want to do all 3 of these different medias is because everybody has different buying types, right? Some people are motivated by the internet. Some people are motivated by phone. Some people are motivated by email. Some people are motivated by direct mail. Different segments, different demographics. Older may react different from younger, etc. But you want to make sure you're touching on all 3 of these. One more pro tip is when you build your marketing calendar, and I like to spend about 1% of my overall sales goal on my existing customer list. This is going to be thank you cards. This is going to be postcard reminders, maybe my email marketing campaign. It's about 1% of my sales on my existing database to make sure that they know I care about them and they are a valued customer. Another pro tip is to earmark money for referrals. Referrals are a phenomenal way to grow organically, and it's the best customer, highest average ticket, highest closing percentage of any lead source that you have. So if you are somebody who feels like you need to earmark or need to give something in return for a referral, make sure you target what you're going to be giving on average for a referral and earmark that in your budget as well. So going back to our 12-month sales goal, we've got the peaks and valleys. We want to anticipate the season. How do we anticipate the season? We supercharge our marketing 1, 2, 3 weeks before the season starts. We do that by making sure that all of our direct mail is ready to go. We're going to be sending email, postcard, phone calls to all of our existing customers and telling them, buckle up, get ready, scarcity, urgency, limited time offer, value, exclusivity, whatever your message is going to be to let them know it's about to get crazy. And if you want to get service done, now is the time to act. So make them feel like they have to take advantage of it. Otherwise, they're going to have to wait 10 weeks. You contact your B2B for referrals, all of your property managers, your real estate agents, your whatever it could be. Make sure that they know it's about to get crazy. And if somebody wants to get work done, now is the time. So not only is it another touch, a really high value touch for your database, it's also a good opportunity for you to anticipate that season and get it started. And as far as from your new marketing, we want to throttle it. We want to get it full throttle because our goal is to get from 0% capacity or low capacity to 100% capacity as fast as we possibly can. And then once we get to that 100% or 110%, we just let it ride. And that's where we can actually dip and decrease. This is a crazy thing that a lot of advanced marketers do that people miss is when we're at 100, 120% capacity, you have two options. You can do on-demand pricing, variable pricing. You can raise your price, lower your closing percentage and become more profitable during this period of time, or you can actually decrease your marketing a little bit and just hold that 110% capacity through the busy peak season because we were smart, we were wise, we took advantage of that early season push. And then we're gonna start to see that slump. When that slump happens, we need to anticipate that slump and then we need to extend the season. How do we do that? Almost the exact same thing we did before. Urgency, scarcity with our existing database, reminders to our B2B contacts, and we're gonna have one last supercharged push when demand is still high. We know that demand's gonna be there for 2, 3, 4 more weeks, so we wanna make sure we have another aggressive marketing push to keep ourselves at that 100%, 110% capacity through the slow months. Now, in some industries, it's unavoidable. You're going to have that dip, but your goal is to remove that and mitigate that. From a marketing perspective and a sales perspective, when you get into these dips, pro tip number 3 for this video is contact all those people that have said no to you over the last 2, 3, 4 months and get them to do an off-season special if you do have a big dip during the middle of the season. So get them to do that 10, 15% discount during the slow season to keep that consistency. It makes your difficult significantly harder to manage, or makes it your business significantly harder to manage when you are stuck with these high peaks and valleys or these 50, 60% swings in sales. You can do a lot to prevent that if you anticipate your season, capitalize, and extend. So that is what we really want to focus on when we talk about how we're going to identify when we're going to be spending our money, how much money we're going to be spending, and what medias we're going to be spending it on. So map out your 12-month calendar, look and see the peaks and valleys, anticipate by identifying when you can start to supercharge your marketing before the season actually starts, what we're going to be doing to capitalize and make sure we're running at peak efficiency when demand's at its highest, and at the very, very tail end of that busy season, what can we do to supercharge it again? Remember, we want to mitigate that slow season to take advantage of the marketing in our existing database in particular when times get slow. So that is the secret. That's the tactic. That's the hack to making sure that you keep your marketing consistent and you're proactive. It's really important on this next video when you have your marketing calendar to actually fill this out. We're going to go through the exercise step by step of how do you define what you need to spend, when you need to spend it, and how much you need to spend. And then we're going to assign those with each one of the medias that will work best for you. So I hope you enjoy this video. The next one's going to be all tactical, kind of boring for some, but if you do this and you stick to it and you're proactive and you hold yourself accountable to a marketing calendar, it will change the way your lead generation functions for your business. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the third video. Take care.